there, this is Adrienne with Greenshire Homestead, and I thought today I would show you how to do some fermenting. We're going to ferment some cabbage today. It's going to turn out to be sauerkraut. Some people don't like sauerkraut. I thought that maybe I didn't, but I really kind of do. And actually, one of our favorite things to do, by the way, is to saute a bed of greens, either like kale or spinach, and then top it with some baked sweet potato and then a little bit of cabbage, and then I put on a tahini sauce on top of it. It's really fabulous. But anyways, I've got a head of cabbage that I got from the garden, and I tried to weigh it because we're shooting for about 2 pounds, but I got an error message on my scale. It was too heavy. So what we have left over, we may end up just eating. We'll see. But anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the core end here. And then what I'm going to do is quarter the cabbage. Oh, nope, sorry. I misspoke. I need to save a couple of leaves first. All right, so save a couple of leaves because you'll need them later. So just outer leaves. They don't have to look really fabulous or anything, which is a good thing because I am just like tearing this one up. But anyways, I usually save 2, 3, maybe 4 leaves just in case I make a mistake with some of them. Oh, yeah, see, that's not going to be any good for anybody. But that one might be. I guess I should have done that first. You know, live and learn. Actually, this is a really tight head of cabbage. I think that's probably what part of the issue is. Let's just save one more for good measure. Ooh, look how much cleaner it looks on the inside. No.
It's a good homegrown Greenshire cabbage right
That's
there.
right. So anyway. All right, so there we go. We've got a few, and they look pretty sloppy right now, but they're exactly what we need. So we will cut this cabbage. We will cut this cabbage. We will cut the cabbage. There we go. Into quarters. By the way, this is a very sharp knife. And we were talking about that yesterday. A sharp knife in the kitchen is your friend. So just make sure you have a nice sharp knife because it'll be easier to cut your crazy head of cabbage. So we're going to quarter it, and then what I like to do is I'm going to cut out the little core that's in here, and I just lay the cabbage on the side, and then I kind of angle my knife and get rid of the core. You know, I'm guessing that maybe you could put that in your jar with your sauerkraut, but my chickens love it, so we're going to chop it up and give it to the chickens. So there's one. I'm going to do the other 4 here. And then I'm going to chop it up. And put it in my great big bowl. All right, so what you're trying to do with your cabbage while you're cutting it is cut it just as thin as you possibly can. Again, this is where a sharp knife comes in handy. Good idea to make sure your fingers are out of the way. But if it does catch you, it's better to cut yourself with a sharp knife than it is a dull. So I get towards the end and then I lay it over on the side. I don't know if you could see that. And then I cut it from a different, same motion, but just from a different angle. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and cut up the rest of these cabbage pieces. And then when I'm all done, we'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, I've got the last bit of cabbage cut up and I'm going to put it in my bowl. And I neglected to tell you at the very beginning, you know, before you get started, as with any time you're canning or doing anything, get all your materials ready because I had everything out except for my bowl. And we have a special name for my bowl, which I won't share with you now. But anyways, we have cut up the cabbage, all right, and so it's just kind of looking kind of white. And we've got it in this bowl, and we're going to basically smash it here in just a minute. But I want to show you a couple of things. We're gonna add some salt and then smash it, and I've got this little smasher that I ordered from Mason Tops actually, and the things that I'm going to show you came from there as well. But it has a large end and it also has a small end, and that will make sense in a little bit. There are wide mouth jars and there are regular mouth jars. I like to work with the wide mouth jars generally better because they're easier to work with. But you have these special lids that they've got a little hole in the top. They look kind of like a baby bottle. And what you're going to do is put that on top of the jar. And so that's why it's important that you make sure you have the right size. So large ones for the large mouth. And then I also have some smaller ones for a small mouth or regular mouth. It's called jar. And then you just put canning rings. Oh, that's what I forgot. 2 canning rings. And then before you put these on, you put these glass, they're called pickle pebbles, but they look like kind of like hockey pucks. And so you put the large one in with a large top and then a band, and then the same with the small one. You use a small one, use a small lid and a band. So I wanted to show you those. And then also I got out a little funnel, which is helpful because it helps get the cabbage into the jar better. But anyways, I'm going to take this cabbage and I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. And then I'm going to kind of mix it around with my hands a teeny tiny bit. And then what I'm going to do is commence to smashing it, and it takes 10 minutes to do. And my husband was like, wow, it takes that long? So it does. So I'll probably get tired and you won't want to watch. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing here, and then we're going to stop the tape, and then I'll come back when we're done. But basically, just jam it. You know, spin it around your bowl. Maybe turn your cabbage with your hand a couple of times, because what you're trying to do is get the cell walls of the cabbage to break down and to kind of create a juice or a brine, if you will, inside. And I'll show you how to make, or I'll tell you how to make a brine and the importance of it when we get to that point. So anyways, I'll meet you back here in about 10 minutes. Okay, we've done the pounding. I wish I would have known about this a couple of years ago. I teach preschool. I had a couple of really challenging kids, and it would have really been great for me to have this then, because you can really get out some aggression. But anyways, this is kind of what it looks like when you're done. It's not soupy, but there's a little bit of moisture in there, you can tell. And what I'm going to do is put it in my jars. Now, like I said, this funnel is really helpful, but if you don't have one, it's not a big deal. And you're going to basically take that cabbage and shove it in your jars. I think that cabbage probably was a little more than 2 pounds. 2 pounds is a good size to do, but it didn't register on my scale. And looking at what's going in the jars, maybe it was 3, I don't know. But you can do it with a funnel, or you know, you can just throw it in there. You don't have to have a funnel. But it does get kind of messy, and we've got cabbage like all over the floor, and it's here on the counter as well. But you know what? Nothing that can't be cleaned up. So we're putting all that in there. I think I might be getting more out of the jar than in the jar. I'm not sure. They say that if you have, you know, a little bit left over that won't fit in your jars, and this will, but if you have some extra, you can just throw a little olive oil on there and maybe a little more salt and pepper and have yourself a little baby salad. So anyway, we've got it filled up. And then what we save those cabbage leaves to kind of make a lid of sorts for our sauerkraut, because basically with fermenting, what we're trying to do is keep the air out, and we want the moisture to stay in. So if you have air that goes in there, basically it can get moldy, and nobody likes that. So anyways, I've saved some cabbage leaves, and I already cut a few. This is kind of what they end up looking like, but I'm going to show you that I'm cutting one. And I did some the other day, and I wasn't happy with the size of the leaf that I put in there, so I cut more today and cut them bigger. But basically I'm taking my band, my canning band, and I'm putting it right on the cabbage leaf, and then taking a knife and kind of going around, and it doesn't have to be perfectly round. You know, I've even done it before where I've taken, you know, a little piece of that leaf and a little piece of this leaf, and I fitted them like a puzzle together. But you want the pliable part of the leaf is the part that you try and put your lid on, because if you put it on the middle part that's, you know, thicker, it doesn't cut as well. So anyways, we've got a leaf here, and what we're going to do is put it inside the jar. We're going to tuck down that cabbage. We're going to kind of push it down a little bit, and I'm going to show you something else with this little pounder thingy. You can use it to kind of push the cabbage down, and I mentioned that it has two ends on it. Obviously with a largemouth jar you could use the big end or you can use the little end, but if you were to use a small mouth jar you wouldn't be able to, whoops, get it in there. So you have to use a small end for that. So that's what I want to show you with that. But anyways, push it on down, get your cabbage down there because you don't want any stuck on the side of the lids, because that you can get mold growth on there. And you will get, there will be a little bit of a moldiness on the top after a couple of weeks, but it's not touching your cabbage. It'll just be stuff that's kind of growing on the top, because you know you're letting it basically sit around. It's almost kind of rotting, really. So you're going to put this in here, and you're going to try and get the cabbage as contained as you possibly can. Okay, so that's why I wanted it to be a little bit bigger than the ring I cut on the outside. I'm going to tuck it in there, and then I'm going to take one of those pickle pebbles, and it's just a heavy glass piece, and I'm going to put it on top of that. And then ideally, my sink is over there, the top of your jar is a little bit wet, and then you take your top lid, I don't know what that is, you put that on the top, and then you take your band and you screw it on there, and then basically tuck it away for a couple weeks. Now right now there's a little bit of water down at the bottom, I don't think you can see it, but you want the pickle pebble or the hockey puck, the glass piece, to be covered, fully submerged. Have the water fully submerged it, you know, so that it's not, it's under there. So get the water up to there. If you have to, check it in 2 or 3 days, and if you have to, you can make a brine yourself. You can take a teaspoon of salt and a cup of water, and you can make your own brine. I usually put it in the microwave for a few seconds to kind of warm it up and dissolve the salt, and then I just take off the lid and I pour it in there to cover up the pickle pebble, and then I put the lid back on and put it back in the closet, and then we'll keep it in there for 2 or 3 weeks depending on your, you know, temperature conditions at your house and stuff. So anyways, we'll come back at you in just a minute. We'll show you our setup in the closet where we're going to put these things. Okay, I have my sauerkraut, my cabbage. It's not sauerkraut yet. I have my cabbage inside my jar, and I've tucked in my cabbage leaf really carefully kind of around the edges again, so that none of the cabbage that's in there touches any of the air. And then I'm putting it in a, it's kind of like a fail-safe. Because I have learned, you know, in 2 or 3 days you'll want to check it, and you'll want to check the moisture level, the brine inside, and again you want it to be above your pickle pebble. And if you put brine in there now, I've learned this, if you put brine in there now and then in a couple days the cabbage has produced its own, you might find that it's coming out of the top. And so I had some spills in my closet a time or two at the very beginning. So this I think might be okay. I might not need to add any because it was really heavy, and so it had a lot of moisture in it. The stuff I did the other day, I think I might have to add brine to. We'll have to take a look at it in a minute because it's in the closet where we're going to put these. So let's go to the closet. Okay, well, we're bringing in the jars that we just did today, and there's some moisture probably in about the bottom inch or so, and so we may have to add brine to that too. I don't know, but I want to show you what I did the other day. This really hasn't gained any more brine than what was in there when we put it in there, so I'm pretty sure that I will have to add some brine later. And again, a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of water, and put it in the microwave. Or I did that before. A teaspoon of salt inside a cup of water, and put it in the microwave to let it dissolve a little bit, and then pour it in there. So I will probably have to add it because it is nowhere near covering the glass part here. So I just wanted to kind of show you what we've got going on here. And that's all there is to it. It's really quite simple. It's a little time consuming sometimes, but you know, a nice little treat. If you like this video, please like or subscribe to Greenshire Farms. Thanks. Bye.